Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Modern at the request of Patreon subscriber Lucify, and this is Dimir Frog. Trusty old Psychic Frog at the center of a Dimir deck with cheap interaction. A unique concept, right? No, obviously not. This deck quickly made sense the second Psychic Frog was printed. It's decks like these that got Psychic Frog banned from Legacy. It's still okay in Modern, where the interaction's a little different. I have registered Dimir Frog myself in competitive tournaments that I cared about in real life. This is a deck that I like, but I haven't touched it in a little while, and it's got some cool new tech. Quantum Riddler can support Psychic Frog as being a draw engine in this deck. We weren't playing Kaito. Last time I played this deck, Kaito may not have existed last time I played this deck. And Wanshitong, relatively brand new here. Wanshitong giving the deck a mana sink is pretty cool. Another conditional draw engine, or if you have mana, it's not conditional. But if your opponent's doing any tutoring, you could start doing stuff. But it also gives you another thing to hold up mana with. 2 mana out of this deck could represent Counterspell, Orcish Bowmaster, or Wanshitong. Having 10 things to do that your opponent has to think about at 2 mana is pretty sick. And if they wait too long trying to play around your 2 mana up, then it becomes 3 mana. Then it becomes 4 mana. Really, the goal of this deck is to stick some card advantage engine, whether it's Tamiyo, Psychic Frog, Wanshitong, and then protect it for a turn or two. That's why you have 3 Force Negations, 4 Subtleties. You really want to be able to tap out for Frog on turn 2 without fear of death. And then once Frog starts hitting and you're drawing 2 cards a turn, the counterspells, thought seizes, everything keeps your opponent off balance for a while. In the kind of raunchy, high power, crazy environment that Modern has become over the last 5-6 years of Modern Horizon sets being pumped into it, this is a really normal Magic deck that still continues to exist in that insane environment alongside Amulet Titan and Capakin Near Affinity and Goblin Charbelcher and all the crazy things people are doing in Modern. This is a deck that's trying to counter some spells, kill some creatures, and then hit through combat. I love it. It's the type of Magic I like to play. This is Dimir Frog. Let's do it. I'm on the play in round 1. I really hate that there's 1 land in this hand. That's the only thing wrong with it. There's 20 lands in the deck. If I fetch, there will only be 18 left. I think I am going to keep, though I understand the risks. The tiebreaker here is that between Thoughtseize and Spell Snare, I get to interact twice against a lot of decks, even if I miss my land drop once. I could also just play Polluted Delta, use a Surveil land to try to get an extra look. Yeah, I think I want to go Thoughtseize and then hold up Spell Snare on the next turn. That curve just works. Watery Grave, get in there. We'll starting the game at 15, as we're going to do a lot with this deck. Okay, that was actually a pretty good Thoughtseize. I'm going to take this Pinnacle Emissary. We are playing against Affinity, and that collapses their turn 1, do a bunch of stuff. Fiery Islet, Bauble. All right, big moment of truth. Am I developing, or am I just countering Ravager next turn? All right, we knew this was a possibility. Urza's Saga is actually pretty devastating. If they were just casting a 2-drop next turn, I'd be okay with this speed bump, but knowing that they get to develop Saga and do the other stuff, it's a tough beat. But I signed up for it. I could have mulliganed the hand. All right, snare that thing. And moment of truth. Are we going to play it all? Yeah, we are. Easy game. You were worried? What were you worried about? There we go. Psychic Frog on the Stackerino. This is a big moment. If they have a 0-cost artifact to play, that matters a lot, because if Bowmaster can pick off... Okay, and they do have it. I was about to say, if Bowmaster could pick off the first construct, that would be a huge tempo shift, but that is not how things went. Okay, another land. I am going to attack. They did not make the thing, so I just get a free draw here. Another land. Sink into Stupor is a permanent answer to a construct, so I'm pretty into that. It gets through the welding jar, which Shoot the Sheriff does not. I could use Wanshi Tong to draw a card when they tutor here. That commits to taking a moderate-sized beat. Okay, I am going to pass the turn. I could also just sink this into Stupor in the end step, or I could let them tutor first and commit to that. All right, I think I'm going to do it that way. I mean, Bowmaster can also chump for a while. I have a lot of options right now. And this is after taking a whole turn off and not doing anything. I'm going to sink into Stupor here, almost no matter what they do. Just looking at how bad Basic Swamp is in my deck and deciding if I can fetch that or if I have to take damage for a Watery Grave. Okay, they have committed to making a thing. I don't want to get smoked by Pithing Needle, so I will fetch here. I think I can play with Basic Swamp. It's not that devastating. I'm going to sink into Stupor, the construct that can attack before they can tutor a Mox Opal and hold up Metallic Rebuke on this. Lava Spur Boots. They have the Opal anyway, sure. All right, taking 6 here. And it'll be even more next turn because the second construct is bad news. Ooh, okay. That's almost useful. I'm going to attack with Frog, get my card, and hope it does anything. A land is big here because then I can pay the ward. Okay, big confirmed. I know they have Welding Jar, but Regenerate taps the thing. If they have Shadow Spear, that could be challenging to navigate. Ward plus Regenerate is a lot going on, but I got a lot of tricks. Either Spell Bomb. Okay, I'm going to respond with Fatal Push. And if they regenerate this, then Lava Spur Boots will be on a tapped creature. And if they don't, then it's just gone, and I have to be happy with that. Okay. Welding Jar regenerates this. The boots are now on a tapped creature. Saves me some damage. That also means they can't stop me from shooting their Sheriff here. Yeah, I think I'd like to actually take this thing out, because chump blocking the thing with Ward doesn't care about Ward. Rizzler. Frog getting a taste here. Counterspell. Okay. Well, I have to tread water versus this 6/5 and hope they don't have some incredible follow-up. I could counterspell a Kappa Cannoneer, which would otherwise mess me up. The boots giving anything they play haste is scary. And they have Arcbound Ravager in the deck. Throwback mode. But scary. But Ravager plus Construct, that math doesn't work. Anything you feed to Ravager shrinks the construct. That's the old cranial plating math from the original Affinity decks. There's Ravager. They can give it haste. If I shoot Ravager with Bowmaster, that makes them do stuff. And that stuff might result in a smaller construct. The Spell Bomb is scary because that might make me chump with Wanshi Tong. Do they have enough resources here to blow up Bowmaster and give haste? And that's a lot to ask. I'm going to let them have Ravager, and you can tell me I'm crazy later. Okay, they're just moving into combat. That's a smart way to do that. Bowmaster will target Ravager, and then they can decide how much they want to feed to that to keep it around. If they just sack Ravager to itself and make Construct bigger, then I don't get an Orc army to chump with. That might be a clever way to navigate this. That is not what they've done. Okay, cool. I'll take that. Block with Orc army. And it's going to be time to play Wanshi Tong. I just need a blocker in play. It's also a flying Vidge creature. Oh, it's an extra damage on this board. I did just tap out a counterspell if they have Galvanic Blast. They could put me to 3. I don't know if they're going to have that. Like, in these Pinnacle Emissary builds with all the other stuff that they need room for, like the Ravager, presumably Munitions is in this deck. How many cards am I willing to discard to fight Arcbound Ravager with Psychic Frog? Probably 0, because they have Aether Spellbomb face up. Literally can't win that fight. I'll give Frog flying and attack with Wanshi Tong and Psychic Frog. Frog plus Riddler is sweet, because you can get yourself down to 1 card at will if Riddler is active. Leaving Bowmaster back as a blocker. an unbounceable blocker. Like, they can't either Spellbomb Bowmaster because it comes back as 2 creatures. They could Spellbomb the Frog now and try to break things up, but I think they'll probably try to do that in the end step to get something through on me. Subtlety is kind of cool. I'm going to play my bonus Frog, and I have Counterspell plus Subtlety to survive this turn with. Yeah, Wan Shi Tong and Bowmaster both have Flash, which makes Aether Spellbomb less effective than it would otherwise be. That's not a card I can beat. I'm going to Counterspell that before they just burn me out with Arcbound Ravager. Pinnacle Emissary. They do not have mana to give that haste, which is good news because I would lose on the spot to that shit. I don't think that thing was worth a Subtlety, at least not on the front. If they cast it back next turn with Warp, maybe I'll think about it differently. Wan Shi Tong and Orcish Bowmaster going under the bus here. I don't think I want to be in a discard war versus Arcbound Ravager. There's so much onboard damage. And I think the corner's turned here for them. I need to remove Construct to have a chance here. The Emissary's gone. Oh, alright, well, that's a start. Step in the right direction. How many things can I afford to attack with? Not very many. Might be actually 0. I think I'm dead anyway. I think I actually have to push Ravager here. Oh, that sucks. Alright. I have to push Ravager because that makes combat impossible. They made the ground creature bigger, not the flyer. I appreciate that. And then I'm going to warp Quantum Riddler. And I think I'm going to discard the other Riddler in response to this trigger. I need to draw more cards here. More relevant, useful cards. A land. I need both of these blockers. Yep. Alright, I gotta pass here. Weapons manufacturing. Well, at least the Ravager's dead. Oh no! 2 cards in hand. It's fucking weapons manufacturing and a sack outlet. Alright. Bad news, everyone. Okay. I can deal 2 to stuff, but that is less bad than it was a minute ago. I have to block with Frog. And I'm going to fetch a Surveil land. That Aether Spellbomb is still right there. I see it. I haven't forgotten. Come on. Removal spell. Subtlety's not it. Yeah, alright. Game on. I'm going to attack with Psychic Frog. It's not available as a blocker anyway. Might as well fire it in. 8 damage. Drew Polluted Delta. There is no more basics to fetch. Yeah, Ward doing the most here. Watery Grave. I have to move Lava Spur Boots. That's 2, 1. Alright. I am going to take 2 here. And hope that doesn't kill me. They literally just need to draw an artifact. And I know they have Pinnacle Emissary and Warp. So I actually need Subtlety up and Fatal Push up this turn to even start to pretend to survive it. Okay, I'm going to go to 3. Fatal Push the Construct. They didn't move the Lava Spur Boots over, which is great for me. That's 1 damage. Like, I was actually just dead to combat. Or I couldn't hold up Subtlety if they moved that over. And the Construct was lethal anyway, so they must be operating on tight mana restrictions. But sack this Munitions for 1 mana. Play. If they have a 0 or 1-drop artifact in hand, they just win right now, and there's nothing I can do about it. If they tap out for that Emissary in exile, I might just win. Oh, they have a Kappa. Alright. That's fine, actually. I can beat that. That's what we played too. This is exactly 7 damage on the board. But they still have Spellbomb active, so nope, we're not out yet. And we know Kappa's on top of the deck. Ugh, alright. They're probably going to bounce Psychic Frog. I'm going to play Riddler first. This is a draw 2 that makes Frog bigger. And I'm out of fetchable lands that don't kill me. They have to use Spellbomb here, or they lose, so I will make the attack. I have to make it lethal, or else they don't have to interact. It does cost a life to bounce that. We go to 3. I have a flying blocker and a force of negation. 1, 2. Can they play Kappa and equip it? I think so. They seem to have plenty of shit. And these are the wrong pieces of interaction. Could I have pushed harder earlier with Frog? Like if I put 1+1 counter on one Frog 6 turns ago, are they at 1 right now instead of 2? Alright, sick. That was a good game though. Engineered Explosives comes in, Dress Down. I can see arguments for Damping Sphere, Mystical Dispute, and Consign to Memory. Force of Negation, actually pretty bad here. I like the removal. Spell Snare hits some relevant stuff, the Munitions and the Ravager. Dispute can hit Kappa. Toxic Deluge could clean up Kappa. Consign to Memory could stuff an Urza Saga or an early development piece. I don't think that's how I want to do it. Wanchy Tong seems pretty mid, and those Riddlers gummed me up for a long time. I'm going to try it like this. I am going to keep this hand. It has nice interaction. Dress Down lets me sweep up constructs for a while. And thought seizing a deck like this that is so heavy on having a nut draw always feels good. And obviously the deck can do things without its nut draw, as we saw last game. Blood Moon, huh? Interesting. They can play that later. All right, taking Emissary. I do have access to a basic here. Spire Bluff Canal, Mox Opal, Mishra's Bauble, second Bauble. Okay, so now they have turn 2 Blood Moon and they know it. Ooh, all right. Well, I should play Delta and pass. Delta can get either one. Yeah, finding that extra Bauble was tough because now I have to actually decide. My threats are and answers are primarily blue, but I play twice as many islands as I do swamps. If they play around counterspell at all, which they did not do. Okay, I think I should get Island. What does Island do? It gets Riddler online, Tameo. It plays Dress Down. I think I'm going to get Swamp actually here, just because I have twice as many islands to draw out of. And I think Fatal Push is more likely to be a useful item than Dress Down. With Blood Moon in play, they can't make constructs. This also represents Bowmaster, but this is going to be a pretty good Blood Moon. And my Thoughtseize could have taken Mox Opal, and then that would have slowed down the Pinnacle Emissary and the Blood Moon, but I'm not going to play with fear in my heart like that. I think it was right to take the Pinnacle Emissary, and just hope I find an island before I lose, or some black cards worth casting. Pinnacle Emissary, well, how good is your hand, I guess? I can't turn on Fatal Push. How many castable artifacts have been drawn? In the meantime, they did turn off their Mox Opal, but it turns right back on with any artifact here. Tormod's Crypt. Explosives for 0. That means they're still going to be casting cards. So they could have gone Explosives for 2 and get ahead of Frog or Bowmaster. Doing it for 0 means they can never blow it. Okay, interesting. Must have something else to do with that mana. Subtlety. That is technically castable, but I'm not happy about it. Yeah, now the Emissary can come out of warp at minimum here. Yeah, there it is. I am not going to be subtletying that. I could jam off Subtlety. It dies to evoke, and that turns on Fatal Push if I find myself in a dire emergency, but I really don't want to do that. A counterspell. If they play like a Kappa Cannoneer or something that I have to Subtlety anyway, having the option to turn on Fatal Push with it does make the clock a lot smaller. A second push. I kind of hope they draw Kappa Cannoneer so I can justify this play. But that also means they have Kappa Cannoneer on top of the deck, which I don't really want to be happening. Alright, I can change it from a 2-turn clock to a 5-turn clock if I'm willing to throw my stuff away. I think I have to. I'm going to cast Subtlety. If I had fetched Island instead of Swamp, I could have Dressed Down, draw a card, pitch Subtlety, it stays because it doesn't have abilities. But then I wouldn't have this Fatal Push. Okay, Subtlety's dead. Push, Emissary. Oh no, interaction. Yeah, Sink into Stupor. Had to be that, because Metallic Rebuke doesn't work here. And it will be very hard to get that back online. Unless I draw Island right now. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Well, that's just the best draw in my deck. I bust this for 0 immediately, which turns on Fatal Push. We're back in. All right. It's not great, but I'm not dead. I went from dead to spinning my wheels. Quantum Rizzler. Looking for that island now. Spell Snare. Opponent not doing anything either is weird. Like, their whole deck is colorless blue and red spells. They have 6 lands. They could just cast Kappa Cannoneer. What is over there? It must be reactive cards. Claws of Gix. Maybe they'll sacrifice Blood Moon and gain a life. This is not useful to me as a mountain. I'll just keep it in my hand. Just keep hitting my land drops. Wait for them to present a threat of some kind. All right, they're playing lots of lands out. Counterspell. I'll play Sink into Stupor as a land next turn rather than go to discard, but if I would rather it be Sink into Stupor than Mountain. Uh-oh. Bad news, everyone. They might have just been charging up for a big turn. Okay, 1 drone. That's still 1 more drone than I have. Soft Perfect Springs can be a mountain. I have Otawara that I can't use. Weapons Manufacturing. Alright, well, I'm just dead to that. Claws of Gix. I'm at 5 life. Alright. I accept defeat at this point. Like, the choice, them getting the 3rd artifact to get Mox Opal, or online to get Blood Moon down a turn early, was the difference between fetching my island and not. And like, if I fetch island, I can be cantripping off Riddler, Dress Down. But also, if I fetch island, I don't have Fatal Push to kill this Pinnacle Emissary, and I'm probably dead already. It's just a tough call there. You're also, like I said, when I made the choice, twice as likely to draw an island than you are a swamp as the game continues. But I guess if you unlock your cantrips, you have more draws to look at half as many outs. Yeah, mostly just hoped they didn't draw a 0-mana artifact to go with that Opal, but they did. I could have also just thought seize the Blood Moon, but at the time, that didn't seem like the scariest thing in the hand. Like, what if I take Blood Moon instead? I'm at 18, and they go Emissary, Opal, Bauble, have 3 creatures on the board, but I can cast all my spells. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I didn't show that enough respect. Maybe I took a calculated risk and came up on the wrong side of it. Either way, we're dead. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next-day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play for round 2. I am going to keep the hand. If my opponent doesn't go nuts on turn 1, I have Counterspell up starting turn 2. If they do have something like Ocelot Pride on turn 1, I can pick it off with Bowmaster. Got some selection here. I'm not leaving up mana for anything anyway. Get that 3 Surveil action. Sewers. I don't want a second Force of Negation. I'd really like to draw Psychic Frog, but that's just always the case forever. Basic Island. Tameo. Alright, well there's that girl. Oh, well there's that. I am going to push Tameo and develop Watery Grave. I don't want to start being behind the clues by holding up Counterspell or Bowmaster or whatever. Good chance this is a mirror match. Opt. Alright, well, it's not a mirror match. I guess it still could be. I'm going to try to poke this Opt. If they just Fatal Push me here, good stuff. Oh, alright, Lightning Bolt then. It's certainly not a mirror match. I've been discharged galvanically. Okay, a Tameo. I like that I could play Tameo and still have up Counterspell or Bowmaster. Let's get that on the stack. Resolve. So Counterspell's up here for one thing or another thing. And then going into their turn, I have Force or Subtlety. They could pitch each other. Wan Shi Tong X equals 1. I'm going to let this resolve and then kill it with Bowmaster. The ETB is a trigger, so it is in play as a 1-1 before it becomes a 2-2. Cool. And I have up interaction for any of the type of cards there are. Counter spells, going nuts over here. Attack with everybody. Shauna's Tidebinder. Counter spell. Just pushing here. Obviously a land would have been delightful there, but okay. They're just too far behind. Their hand must not be any good. We're playing against Is It Wizards. Stern Scolding counters all of the wizards that there are. Not in Magic, but certainly that would be getting played. Harbinger of the Seas, a wizard of my own. I'm not bringing that in. Mystical Dispute seems excellent here. Force of Negation actually seems kind of mid. It's been a minute since I was dialed into Modern because I'm coming off of Eternal Weekend season where I don't have time to think about anything other than Vintage and Legacy. I don't know if this is a Murktide deck. I don't know if this is a deck with 0 or 4 Snapcaster Mages in it. I could conceivably see any number. I don't think I'm bringing in Nile Spellbound, not till I'm told otherwise. I like the removal, love Spell Snare, Thoughtseize. Subtlety's really good in the mid and late game. Do I love Shoot the Sheriff? In Fatal Push picks off Tameo on curve. Shoot the Sheriff. That one's going to cost 2 to kill a creature that probably got value on the way in. I think I want the 4 1-mana counter spells in, and then I'll play like this. Ooh, okay. Another 1-lander. When I kept the last 1-lander, I didn't count the 3 Sink into Stupors. I said there were 20 lands in the deck, but there's actually 23. It was better than I initially said it was. I really like Thoughtseize and Dispute in this matchup, but I also like hitting land drops. I am going to keep this. And I cannot afford to play around Blood Moon from this position, if that's the thing they have. Unduring Falls. Bonus on a Multi 6, so I'm up 2 cards, which is really important in a matchup like this one, if I could cast the spells that are associated with it. Thoughtseize you. Blood Moon confirmed. I'm going to take Blood Moon because I'm so bad against that. Here's Mountain. Alright, Moment of Truth. Big money. Wrecked. But I have Mystical Dispute and Fatal Push. Just like the previous round where I did this, and it's still probably right to mulligan. And that's a conversation you can have if you want to have it. But not every game and every matchup is determined by missing land drops. If it's going to be a slow game anyway, you can get through it. Yeah, they're going to try to draw cards in the end step, I'll counter it. And Screw beats Flood in Magic the Gathering. My next land is a big one. Look at that. Look at that. You were worried. I'm not going to run Frog into 2 face-up removal spells. They have 1 unknown card in hand, and there's 2 removal spells. I think I want to Surveil here. Oh, I just ran into Tidebinder. That was fucking dumb. I guess I have to do that eventually anyway. Never mind. I don't feel bad about that. Kaito, incredible in the matchup, but I need lands here. Subtlety. Okay, my options are discard something to hand size, or run out the Psychic Frog that could get stunk into Stupor. If they play Galvanic Discharge, would I discard 2 cards to keep Frog, then they bank 3 energy, and the next one is pretty frustrating? I'm going to Warp Riddler. I could still hit a land drop this turn. I know it taps me out, but I'm pretty sure my opponent's not doing anything. Okay, that's pretty good, but I've got something similar. All right, I'm going to Subtlety their Subtlety, and it is now something I'm aware to play around, but I'm now working with perfect information. Okay, they put Subtlety to the bottom. That's cool. And we hit the land drop, getting paid for the risks we take. And I have a Rizzler in the Warp Zone. Lots of basics being fetched. That makes me think there are more Blood Moons in my future. I am not going to crack this blue to Delta for the other sewer. And just like that, we are out here with Bowmaster plus Counterspell available, access to both basic lands. I think I'm just going to cast Bowmaster in the end step. Let them use the Galvanic Discharge, flush it out. I'm trying to get Psychic Frog, that's the important thing. 1 to you. Go to my turn. Keep hitting land drops. And they're just accepting the beats. Sink and Discharge. Alright, Psychic Frog on the stack. I have counter spells to fight over it. With Frog out here. Okay, yeah. Screw beats Flood. On to the next round. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the draw in round number 3. I'm going to keep my hand. It has lands to play the game with. Alright, opponent has revealed a Devourer of Destiny. That's what we're up against. Exiled 3 non-lands. Actual Tron. The Spell Snare may or may not find much gas. Sometimes Eldrazi plays various talismans to turn on their colors and ramp a little bit. I don't think Sylvan Scrying is in Eldrazi Tron these days. That's the ancient lore. That warm fuzzy feeling you get when you're on the draw and your hand has Spell Snare in it, juxtaposed against the feeling when your opponent plays Urza's Power Plant, living large and then getting pushed into the ground. Yeah, yeah. Bow, 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 bow. I'll do anything here. Like, that is colors. Also, this is a window for me to jam a Frog into play when Eldrazi Temple does not represent Tron to get Devourer online. This is 4 mana if they want to see my thoughts and or knot them up. Sowing Mycospawn is also still legal in this format, unlike the format I usually play. Or they could use a development turn here. Could be Kozilek's Command, my favorite card. Yep, there it is. They're scrying and drawing. Frog is gone. Went top with that. It's spooky. Okay, I think we are in a spot where Counterspell starts being something I want. They're showing enough mana. Versus mine. Selling Mycospawn. This can tutor. Puts it onto the battlefield. Untapped and everything. I could enjoy Wan Chitong here, but then they have another 5 mana to spend this turn. Alright, I think I'm gonna Tong. Okay, I'm into that. I mean, them dismembering at the cost of all that extra mana, that's fine. Like, that's not opposition agent. It's just I get to draw a card and I have a 2/2. Yeah, I mean, I'm down with that. Dismember for sure. I like this Thoughtseize too. Thoughtseize plus Counterspell could find a path through their massive, overwhelming mana advantage they have over me. Ugin, Thought-Knot Seer, Devourer. I think I have to take Ugin. Yeah, I'll take Ugin. And I'm going to pass with the intention of countering Thought-Knot Seer, surveilling again, and then trying to do 2 things next turn to overcome the Devourer. Okay, there's that. That was going to take a card anyway. Did they draw through Sowing Mycospawn? Just kick that into the ground. Okay, that's fine. That makes spawns and scries 4. Kept 1 on top, 3 to the bottom. Mostly good news, but still might be tough to overcome. Sewer. Oh, Kaito. I don't think Kaito does anything here. No, it's a Planeswalker on their turn and doesn't have hexproof, which is when they'd be doing Ugins and shit. Okay, I'm gonna go Frog plus Riddler, draw 2 cards, hit my land drop. Yeah, that's just a development turn. I'm gonna lose the Frog to Devourer of Destiny, but I've banked Riddler and I've gotten some cards out of it. Played Eldrazi Temple from hand, kicked Mycospawn. Yep, Watergrave is exiled. I don't miss playing against this card in Legacy. It's better in this format, like better to play against, but it's still pretty miserable. An opponent is all in. I can't use Subtlety to counter that because that's not what the card does. Watery Grave tapped, and it would be a big turn to draw something useful because I am dead 2 different ways. Alright, dead. Okay, absolutely run over by Tron, game 1. Historically a bad matchup for control decks. Damping Sphere, Consigned to Memory, Harbinger of the Seas, all coming in. Kaito seems super mid. Fatal Push is not pointless, but it's not good. Dress Down affects some things in their deck, but most things it doesn't. Force Negation protects my Harbinger. Do I want every creature that comes into play to just stay there? Not really, but that seems like the right way to approach this matchup. Let's try to beat them in combat. I have Sink into Stupors, but Spell Snare. Spell Snare is way worse than Fatal Push. Found a little adjustment that makes me much happier right at the very end. Okay. I'll do this. This is not specifically good in the matchup, but it is a hand that functions. I get to surveil and look for some action like Harbinger. I'm already holding my swamp, so I don't have to think about that too much. Talisman, okay. Ramping out over there. Sewer, Thoughtseize, let's go. That's the type of thing I'm in the market for. Thoughtseize you. Karn, Dismember, and some other shit. Okay, Karn's gone. Their hand is mana plus Dismember. And there is an Ulamog in the bank for the future. Yeah, sure, why not? Alright, I'm in some trouble here. If they get Liquid Metal Coating and start blowing up my lands, this game will turn very quickly. Oh, Consigned to Memory actually rips. Okay. That might save me. I can consign the coating. Counter that. Karn is making a wish. Now Bowmaster can kill Karn. I'm going to let them resolve the wish, thinking they still have Karn before I pick it off with Bowmaster. Trinisphere, okay. Bowmaster, kill Karn. Trinisphere is annoying, but that's all it is. Psychic Frog, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still smaller than Dismember. I'm going to distract my opponent with Orcish Bowmaster. Hopefully that draws out a Dismember. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, 7. They're pretty far away from this Ulamog. Talisman of Resilience. That can save 1 life on Dismember. Tameo. How much damage you want to take? Alright, now I have to just run Frog out there. It's still going to deal 3 damage to them. But now my job is to push over the finish line and nothing else. Okay, that's dead. And in top deck mode, there are a lot of good draws in their deck. There's a lot of bad ones too. This looks like a good one. They're making green Eldrazi mana. Yeah, are they just gonna Sowing Mycospawn, finish Tron, then Ulamog me next turn? I can't wait. Cool, now this game is unwinnable. Yep, like I said, we need to fade a good draw, and they drew one of the best possible cards. On to the next round. That matchup is probably just bad. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/TheResleevables. I'm on the draw in round 4, another one of these one-landers. My opponent's name is Trinisphere. Do they know I just lost to Trinisphere? Is Magic Online making fun of me? And again, here we are with Thoughtseize and Force of Negation. I can interact twice with the one land I have, and then on 2 I start doing all the other stuff. How long can I get away with these greedy one land keeps? There are 22 lands in my deck. That's a bit worse than 1 out of every 2 cards. Alright, I'll mulligan. You bullied me into it. I'll bottom Misty Rainforest here. But otherwise this hand's pretty sweet. Blooded Strand. I'm going to play the Shores. If this is some kind of control mirror and they draw go, then I lose some value not surveilling here, but I'd hate to fetch and not get to surveil because I didn't want to play out Darkslick Shores, and I don't want to pay 2 life on a bluff, or not a bluff, but and signal them. what they could play into. Oh, it's Living End. Well, Spell Snare is not going to have a target anyway. Ironic that somebody named Trinisphere is playing Living End when Trinisphere is one of the most devastating cards that could ever happen to the Living End deck. Okay, I've got Sink into Stupor that could bounce Living End, but not until the turn after Living End is likely to happen. All right, well, another one of those. I'm at least representing Counterspell now. And their graveyard isn't exactly swole. Yeah, no cycle in the end step. So Living End right now just makes Generous End. And I guess there's some possibility this is just some deck that's playing Generous End as a fetch land, and they have some other kind of use for it. But I don't know what that deck is. Tangle Span Bridgeworks. This is the back of Bridgeworks Battle. Target creature goes +2/+2 until end of turn. It fights a creature you don't control. Okay. One of the lesser known bridge battles. Sewer. I do not need an island. I have many lands. And I drew one anyway. Alright, pass the turn. Oh, this is Neoform. Fun. Okay. Well, Allosaurus Rider is on the stack. It resolves. Neoform is a 2-drop. Suddenly new life breathed into me here. Oh, they're going to do the other one. Eldritch Evolution. Okay. What can they have in Modern to protect this? I guess Pact of Negation, if they're going all in, does the job. Yep, there it is. Okay, fair enough. Well, there's now a Pact trigger that needs to be paid for next turn, but whatever they get has to win. And I don't know how deterministic that is. But they've passed the turn with Grizzlebrand in play. That's weird. Okay, I'm going to shock in, because this gives me 2 pieces of interaction, and now Bowmaster is up as well. Are you just dead? What's going on here? I guess Consign to Memory? Or like try to go off on top of the Pact trigger? What are we doing? How does this work? Where are we? Where did we come from? How did we get here? Did they forget that they have to pay for Pact? What's going on? Something's happening. Consign to Memory with a bunch of kickers. Okay. They did not forget. They knew all along. Okay, how do I navigate this now? I guess I try to bounce Grizzlebrand. And they get to draw a gajillion cards in response, but I'm at least... I guess I should have done this on the end step, because now they can draw into a Pact and protect it. Yeah, they wouldn't have been able to... Or they could have countered 2 Pact triggers. No, they actually just had the full sequence ready to go here. All I can do is try to make their engine awkward to a point where they can't actually win. Oh, Grizzlebrand's back in hand. Good news. Good news. All right. We play on. It's weird, but my opponent is going to start a turn with 16 cards in hand, but no mana. And the Rider does cost 0. Good chance that ends up, another one of those ends up in play. I have to come up with an extra mana somewhere to Neoform it this turn, and then they have to be able to protect it, because I do have the Snare. Rider's in. Pitched another Neoform, which is not playing into that card for me. I think my 2 Fatal Pushes should be able to add together if I get Revolt to kill on the 7-drop. I need a ruling. Alright, they could just go on 4/4 beatdown strat. Galta. Summoner's Pact. Yeah, we're in Weirdo Zone, but Weirdo Zone is plenty good when you've drawn half your deck. There are 5/5s now, because opponent hit a land drop. Discarded Planar Genesis and Grizzlebrand. Force of Negation. I'm just going to Bowmaster now, because Pact they would have to pay for on their next upkeep anyway. I don't know what my plan is here, practically speaking. They are at 4, which is not a high life total, but I'm not winning the race versus 2 5/5s. Fatal Push not lining up well against 7-drops. With Shoot the Sheriff, I would be winning the race. A fetch land, yeah, go to 3. Do 25% of the work I need to do here. Planar Genesis. This can make the things bigger. I'm not going to spend Spell Snare on that. But this is Impulse or Growth Spiral. They look at top 4, pick a card. If it's a land, they can go into play tapped. They don't need more stats on the Allosaurus Rider, though. That could have also just been bait to see if I have Spell Snare. A combat. I think I should do no blocks. Because if I draw another Bowmaster, that's a route to 4 damage, but not if I chump block with Orc Army. A Bowmaster off the top is worth 2 here. All right, well, snare that. Packed. Okay, we're back. My Kingdom for a blue card. Galta time. Put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. They discarded the Grizzlebrand we knew was there. What do you got? None. All right, just a 13/13. Psychic Frog. Well, 13 power of trample still beats what I'm doing. All right. Cool. That was pretty sweet. There were ways they could have messed that up if they were less patient on the Grizzlebrand. That could have gone the other way. Like, I did have the Bowmaster. If they activated Grizzlebrand before I took any action, I could have sniped them for 7. But they just waited, recognizing that Grizzlebrand was good enough to win. A Consign counters Galta trigger, attracts a trigger. So does Dress Down. I definitely want Mystical Dispute. That gets Neoform plus all their counter magic. Fatal Push. Goodbye. The card I was holding 2 of at the end of that game. Shoot the Sheriff's not the worst. I like that Wan Shi Tong has Flash. That's about all I like about it. I could see Kaito swinging a race if we end up in that weird spot. Subtlety's probably worse than Kaito. They're not casting... Oh, wait, they have the Shep, or the Rider. No, they are casting a creature, a very important one. It just frequently isn't a creature very long. Damping Sphere could slow them down, but I don't think slowing them down is where I need to be. Though, that does make it really hard to go Rider, Neoform, counter protection all at once. Maybe I do want Damping Sphere. What do I cut for that? It's none of the interaction, which leaves Wan Shi Tong, Quantum Riddler, and Tamiyo as cuttable cards, or a Bowmaster. I think among these cards, Riddler is the worst in this particular matchup. Okay, here I go. The Allosaurus Rider is a star, not a 0/0 with a static ability. So I can't Stern Scolding that if they have 2 lands in play. And this is the aggro hand, but it just dies to their aggro. I'm going to mulligan for interaction. Oh, well, there's a bunch of interactions, but no land to cast it. Straight to 5. I guess I have to be accepting of this. I'll get rid of Orcish Bowmaster and Dress Down. Those seem like the worst cards in the hand. Okay. Opponent, King of the Castle over there with 7 cards in hand. Wah wah wee wah. Shocked in that land. We've seen at least Generous Ent as a cycling thing, as far as things that it might do. Sewer, give me the second land, please. No, other than second land, Thoughtseize is a card I would keep here. They might be showing me Veil of Summer, but that will be useful somewhere. And if it's not Veil of Summer they're showing me, Thoughtseize is pretty good. Cooked. Immediately cooked. Okay, pass the turn. Hopefully this is investment in the future where I can successfully win a counter war later because Veil is gone. Garden of Freyalise. The Rider. It's Subtlety time, use it or lose it. I really want this Psychic Frog. I really want every card in my hand. Alright, I'm going to pitch Spell Snare. This is my opponent's sense at this turn, I can't win anyway. And I need a second land to really be in the game, at which point both of these are useful. Alright. 3 cards left. Rider's in. Show me the way in which I'm dead. Yeah, I don't feel like this matchup should be bad on paper, but certainly when you mull to 5 into the triple protected, like they pitched another Veil of Summer to get the Shepherd in. It's Xenagos, God of Revels. That is enough to do 26 to me. Even if there's nothing else in the hand, and then they don't have to worry about paying for the pact. Cool. Alright, yeah, that was sweet. Yeah, that line they came up with game 1 to pact without enough mana into a non-deterministic board state, or they might have had the ability to shove but chose to be patient because they had the consign. They just played that really well. That was cool. Completely picked apart. On to the next round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play for the final round, trying to find a dub. Turn 1 Tamiyo, not what it is in Legacy, but still a respectable way to start a game. And I am going to fetch Basic Island to play this. This gives me access to all my basics if I need that. I can still Fatal Push next turn if I need that, or I can just start cracking clues and be happy. Polluted Delta from the opponent. Ooh, Spell Snare. I'm going to play the island and attack. Maybe I'm supposed to attack before making my land drop. Ooh, Soul Spike. That's really interesting that they would wait until I showing Counterspell to spike me, but alright. Hard to argue with the results. It seemed like they weren't sure until they made the decision to do it, if it was going to happen or not. Well, Tamiyo's already been a 3-for-1, and we are definitely playing against some sort of Necro Dominance deck. Yeah, I should have waited until after combat to play my land. The reason I led on Island is because if the clue is there, I'm going to spend my mana this turn no matter what, and if I'm doing that, then I don't need to take 2 life for Watery Grave, and I don't need to waste energy. Dreams of Steel and Oil. It's an artifact or creature. Alright, well, my Quantum Riddler's gone. But obviously the way that this played out, I would be much happier surveilling right now, and that was just me making a mistake. Otawara. That could bounce a Necro Dominance next turn, but if they just spend 3 mana on Necro now, they have a pretty good chance of it resolving. There's one unknown in my hand. Doing something in their draw step. Okay, no, they just lost track of the thing. Psychic Frog resolves. I'm going to Fatal Push that. Spell Snare, I think I have more belief in long term. Ooh, I like that. That's a way to actually win the game at some point. Do I need to play around Force of Negation? All right, yeah, I'm going to push in the upkeep. Hope I don't get mana leaked. If the swamp was an island, I would have done that timing differently, but it's not. Okay. Just passed it back to me, no plays at all. And I'm going to cast Kaito. I'm just in there. Emblem with my ninjas are bigger. Pass. I've tapped out of Counterspell, which I didn't have anyway. And them having missed several land drops now after pitching a land to that Soul Spike on turn 1 is pretty inspiring for my chances. They've got another Surveil land. They pass without any plays again. Oh, I'm not going to do that. If they have, like, Sheoldred's Edict or something. Alright, yeah, I'm not going to fetch. I can afford to take a turn off of doing that to make sure my Kaito doesn't get petty thefted or edicted or any such thing. Alright, March of Wretched Sorrow for X equals 5. Yeah, that's a lot more than I have access to. Okay, Kaito's dead now. Another 3-for-1. Or no, it was the... What is this? The mana value? No, it's 2 per. Yeah, they exiled 2. Alright. Undercity Sewer, get in. Subtlety. Yeah, I'll take that. It has power and toughness. I'm going to hold back the Otawara. Thoughtseize. Alright, well, I will cast Subtlety then. And then they can take the Spell Snare. They have gotten themselves to 28 life somehow over the course of this game. Right, how important was that Spell Snare? Have they been sitting on some 2-mana way to put Necro Dominance into play this whole time? I feel like I'm a land drop away from death. But so far, I've been holding out. Ooh. Now I can know for real. Attack for 3 first, then Thoughtseize, in case they have more pitch interaction. Necro and Sheoldred. Oh, I'm taking Necro. Hand is Sheoldred, pass the turn. I just passed back. I found another Thoughtseize. Attack you. Thoughtseize. I'll take Sheoldred from the hand of 2 Sheoldreds. These Thoughtseizes, in addition to just taking cards in the long term that I don't have to play against, also nerfs the various pitch cards that they play. Okay, I could Otawara this Riddler so they don't draw 2 cards now, but then they have Riddler for next turn. Or I could just let them have 2 cards and Riddler and Warp. Yeah, I don't think I want them warping again. Their deck is very cool. Bogart Bog. Tapped. And I'm suddenly becoming quite worried about this Sheoldred. The Delta. That doesn't help me, but I am going to play it out. My deck does have the ability to draw cards, and I don't want to be stuck with a handful of lands when we get there. End step, fetch for a Watery Grave tapped. That's pretty nice, though. Oh, I can get Revolt. If I Otawara my Subtlety... Yeah, if they play Sheoldred, I'll Otawara my Subtlety and then push Sheoldred, and then I'm holding Subtlety and Childred's Gone Forever. Or I can answer a Psychic Frog straight up. I guess that's the line then. All right, I will save Subtlety here with Otawara. Got a card off of that, and this... Now my clock is gone, but I can slow down Childred. My clock would have been gone with the ability to slow down Childred anyway. Oh, that's huge. Okay, I am going to pass. And Wan Shi is kind of bad versus Bowmasters, but kind of good versus almost everything else. Okay, what are we doing? Thought seizing me. Well, I guess I will Wan Shi in response. Make a 4/4 draw 2, or make a 5/5 draw 2. Got your ass. Thought seize. Oh no. Okay, now I have the tempo to win the game. In for 5, bounce Childred, in for 8, and that's lethal. They have to draw something pretty good to break that up. And now there's nothing they could have. Cool. Fun game. Yeah, that late game top deck Wan Shi Tong when you have 6 lands definitely feels good. That's the first time I've gotten to do one of those that's that big in any format. Alrighty, we won game 1. They are a Psychic Frog exclusion or inclusionary Necro Dominance Childred deck. What do I do with that? Stern Scolding can hit Frog. Dress Down can turn off Childred temporarily. Mystical Dispute. I mean, they do have blue cards, so... And I would think about it if they were mono black as well. Fatal Push actually looks good. Shoot the Sheriff. Sounds okay. Force Negation sounds okay. My main deck just looks really good against what they're doing. Kaito. Sorry, buddy. You do seem mediocre. Spell Snare seems deeply mediocre, but they do have Psychic Frog. Did I see anything other than Psychic Frog that Spell Snare hits? Because I'm not without answers to Frog, and I'm boarding in 3 more of them. 4 more of them. I think I will cut 1 push. Nope. Psychic Frog. Is it a Riddler? Is it just always a Riddler? Okay, I will try this. Okay, I will keep this hand that has Force of Negation in it because I think that card is important in the matchup. Even though I expect to be discarded a number of times. Thoughtseize is going to work. I'm not giving you 2 cards when I could only give you 1. Took Subtlety. Spooky. What does that mean? Taking Subtlety over Fatal Push this early in the game? I am deeply curious. Are they planning for a late game, or do they have somehow the ability to power out some big crazy shit? Or were they setting up a Psychic Frog and they're going to be really bummed out that I drew a second Fatal Push? Just taking my threats, perhaps? This is going to be a sewer. Darkslick Shores. I don't want more lands here. I want action. At least a blue card to help my Force of Negation would be nice. That's not it. A Polluted Delta turns on bigger Fatal Pushes and can Surveil. Necro Dominance right now might be difficult to beat. Hey, that didn't happen. Sewer. Do I want Tamiyo? I think I do. Alright, I'm holding up Hardcast Force of Negation, but they do know about it. I don't have Revolt if they just jam Childred next turn. That might actually be difficult to solve. If I had played Tamiyo out here, I would have Revolt in the form of a clue next turn. But that also turns on all the interaction, all the removal that is in their deck, and turns off the Force of Negation. They surveilled away a Soul Spike last turn, or in the end step. Boggart Bog. Yeah, there she is. All right. Well, I'm looking for a fetch land. Wan Shi Tong. That's awkward. Okay, I'll play Tamiyo and pass. I'm still holding up Force here. If they kill Tamiyo in the end step, like Soul Spike her or something, or Force of Despair, that turns on Fatal Push. Deal. That was a 3 for 2 that ended up clearing the Childred. Pitched Boggart Trawler to that Force. Got that second Childred for me. Oh yeah. Okay, there's that. And I don't think I want to commit this Wan Shi to the board. Bowmaster. Alright. That I can play with. If Childred attacks, I block with Origami, then Fatal Push is on, and we're out of it. Bowmaster. 1 to you. block. And I'm not going to Fatal Push right away because that unlocks the third Shieldred. Where if I do it in the end step, they have to play around the Legend rule. Okay, end step Fatal Push. And I've untapped on a stable board where I'm ahead for the first time in the game. I can make a 3/3 Wanshi who draws one card in my opponent's end step. I don't think I want this in play, though Orcish Bowmaster does make it pretty funky. Yeah, I just don't want that in play. We don't need to mess around with that. The next Shieldred is covered. Sheriff is shot. Shieldred, famously a cop. A second Necro. Okay, I have to let this resolve, and then opponent has to make a decision how much life they want to pay in the end step, and then after they've paid that life and done everything, I can still Wanshi. Okay, so they have to pay life into the Bowmaster. Gotta pick whatever number they're happy with here. 3 seems like a reasonable number to start with. But they are now dead on board, have to do something. They've passed priority to me. You can't Force of Despair right now. Or are they just conceding? Alright, yeah, couldn't beat the Bowmaster. And didn't need to see the Wanshi. Okay. This deck, it is how I remember it. And the reason I stopped playing it in real life. And that is that it is your job to be so tight and play so perfect and to know everything your opponent needs to do. Because the other decks in the format can do stuff like stumble into Tron, or just have a Kappa Cannoneer sometimes, or combo you out on turn 2 with Ruby Storm, or like whatever the other crazy level of stuff is, or, you know, turn 2 Neoform with triple protection. These are the type of things you're playing against in the modern format, and being the deck with no way to cheat on mana, no combo kill, responsible for interacting on a 1-for-1 basis, and slow card advantage over the course of a long game. If anything breaks containment, you're in so much trouble. Like, even that second Shieldred that my opponent had in that last game, where otherwise not much was happening, and I had to top deck my way out of both Shieldreds. I had a half of an answer in my hand, but needed the other half to get there. And one of them they helped me with by playing a removal spell on my creature when they knew I had Fatal Push. You have lots of counters, 7 pitch spells, pretty insane, 3 Thoughtseize, but if that Ugin gets on the stack, or that Primeval Titan gets through the wall, or that Neoform resolves, you are dead. I believe this is a thinking gamer's elegant weapon for a bazooka format, and as elegant as your samurai sword is, it's not going to beat 5 opponents in a row who all have bazookas. This is also a deck where you can't just copy a list and play it forever. You do need to actively be tuning, like, is 2 the right number of Spell Snare? Should one of them be Stern Scolding? Can we main deck a Consigned in Memory? Do I need a Sweeper in the main? How many Kaitos do I want? 0, 1, or 2? Do I want 4/3 Subtlety Force Negation, or 4/3 the other way? Do I want 4/4? Do I want 3/3? All of these are decisions that you have to make every day based on what you think opponents are going to be playing in the metagame. This deck takes a lot of work to maintain and then to play. And if you want to do that work, power to you. The wins do feel super rewarding. I got to give it that. Lucify, thank you for sharing this. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.